The brutal truth about being skinny fat is that dieting harder and doing more cardio will not fix it. In fact, for most women, it makes the problem worse. The skinny fat look usually happens when you have too little muscle and still a layer of body fat. And the frustrating part is there is endless information about losing fat, endless information about building muscle, but almost nobody talks about what to do when you need to do both at the same time, which leaves you stuck in this weird middle ground. You're not overweight, but also you don't look toned or sculpted. You're going to the gym, eating high protein, but when you look in the mirror, you still feel like you don't look like someone who trains. So you're spending all of this time and your physique isn't showing that hard work. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the 5 biggest mistakes keeping you stuck being skinny fat, and more importantly, exactly how you can fix them so you can finally build that toned, sculpted physique that you've always wanted. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Estee. I'm a women's body recomposition and hormone coach, and I make content that helps women train and fuel their bodies in a way that actually supports their hormones and builds strong, toned physiques. So if that sounds like your vibe, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and turn on the bell notification while you're at it. Now let's get into it. Because the truth is, being skinny fat isn't down to just bad genetics. It's usually the result of a few mistakes that most women don't even realize they're making. So grab a pen and paper, because mistake number 1 is probably the biggest reason you are stuck. Mistake number 1 is staying in a calorie deficit for too long. At some point in your fitness journey, you probably did lose a lot of body fat. Maybe you hired a coach. Maybe you followed a fat loss program. Maybe you've even dabbled in the fat loss injections and you've been in a really strict calorie deficit and it worked. You lost the weight, now you feel like a deflated balloon. Your glutes have turned into pancakes and your body has no real shape or curves anymore. And you're thinking, how the hell have I lost all this weight but I still don't look toned? And the reason is simple. You never left the calorie deficit zone. You're still clinging on to the same calorie target because you're terrified of gaining that fat back. But here's the problem. Calorie deficits are meant to be temporary phases. They're not somewhere your body is supposed to live in forever. So what really happens when you keep living in and out of a calorie deficit for the majority of your entire existence? You don't recover properly, your training performance drops, your sleep suffers and isn't as effective, and your hormones become unstable. And most importantly, you cannot build muscle. And if you do not build muscle, you will never look toned, because being toned really is just having visible muscle with a lower body fat percentage. And right now, the missing piece for you is muscle, which isn't going to improve if you keep going in and out of a calorie deficit. Which brings me on to mistake number 2, which is overcomplicating your nutrition. You're spending hours on TikTok and Instagram saving high protein recipes. I mean, you've probably got about 100 saved posts right now. But when it comes to actually eating consistently, everything becomes slightly chaotic and messy. You've got too many recipes, too much choice, too many decisions to make. And before you know it, you're grabbing convenient snacks throughout the day, trying to piece together your protein intake. This is what I call analysis paralysis. You're trying so hard to make your nutrition fun and flexible that you're actually making it inconsistent. And inconsistency is exactly what stops your body from progressing, because building muscle requires consistent meals and meal timings, not random high protein meals whenever you remember and when you've got time to make something fancy and exciting. So here is exactly how you fix this. Instead of saving more recipes, build a repeatable meal structure. Build a simple, repeatable meal plan with meals you actually enjoy and meals that hit your protein and other macro targets. Most importantly, containing meals that you can realistically stick to even when work is busy. You provide your body with the fuel it needs, so your gym performance improves, your sleep improves, and overall energy improves. Now we've sorted out your nutrition, we now need to look into your training, because that's also holding you back right now. Because mistake number 3 is something I see all the time. You're probably not even aware of it, which is consistently changing your workouts. So whilst you're saving your high protein recipe reels, you're also saving workouts. You see a fitness influencer with amazing glutes who has your goal physique, and she's told you that there is this new killer glute workout that you need to try. So you go and copy her exercises. And then the next week you see another best glute exercise ever video. So you swap your workout again and you repeat the cycle every week. And here's the problem. Your body does not respond well to consistent change. Muscle growth can only happen through progressive overload, meaning you gradually get stronger at the same movements over a prolonged period of time. But if you're consistently switching exercises because you found a new fancy reel that you want to give a go, your body never gets the chance to actually adapt and improve. The analogy I like to use is, imagine you're chipping away at a stone to try and reach a diamond at the bottom. But instead of chipping away at the same spot to get deeper and closer to the diamond, you keep changing the spot in which you chip away at, meaning you never reach the diamond because you keep changing where you're chipping, and you're not chipping at the same spot to go deeper into the diamond. So instead of chasing new viral exercises every week because they look exciting and cool, please do yourself a favor and find a realistic workout split that you can stick to, write it down and schedule it into your week. Treat those sessions like your non-negotiable appointments. I know you wouldn't miss a nail appointment, would you? So treat your gym workout with the same priority as you would getting your nails done, and stick to them consistently, because the women who build incredible physiques aren't doing magical, crazy workouts. They're just getting stronger at the basics for months and years, and they're not changing their program. Now, even if you fix your program, there's still another big mistake women tend to make when it comes to their training, which is not training with enough intensity. I know you won't like to hear this, but many women in the gym are simply not training hard enough. All you're doing is you're moving the weight from A to B and thinking that because you've gone to the gym and you've ticked the box, that's good enough. But you're wrong. When you're training, what you're doing is you're not pushing close to failure. You're not tracking your lifts. And progressive overload is basically just a guess. So you say to yourself, well, I think that was heavier than last week. There's no consistency. Thinking you've lifted heavier than last week is just not enough. You need to realize that your body adapts after every training session you do. So if you're not consistently challenging it, you are giving it no reason to grow. And one of the easiest ways to fix this is by starting to film your sets. So you can watch your form, watch your tempo, and most importantly, ask yourself, did those reps actually feel difficult? Because if you're finishing your sets quite comfortably, I hate to break it to you, but you probably had another 5 reps in the tank, which means you literally left progress on the table. And of course, that is only going to slow down the rate of your progress and probably make you feel like you haven't changed in the last few months despite training in the gym, because the quality of your training is just as important as the quantity, meaning consistency in attending your training sessions, also making those training sessions count, is the perfect recipe to building muscle. Now, the final mistake is the one that sabotages everything, and that is being impatient and consistently changing your goal. And this is where most women really do ruin their progress with their fitness journey. One day you start focusing on building muscle. A few weeks in, you have a bad body image day, and suddenly you think you're gaining fat. So you jump straight back into a calorie deficit. And then a few weeks later, you panic about losing muscle. So then you go back into eating at maintenance or in a surplus. And you repeat this yo-yo cycle over and over again every time you get uncomfortable. Consistently switching between your goals completely confuses your body, and your body needs consistency to change. So you going back and forth with your goalpost is keeping you stuck exactly in the same place. And look, we've already covered why you're looking skinny fat, which is because you don't have enough muscle tissue. And therefore, building more muscle will take a lot more time than just fat loss. And you need a clear strategy and plan to commit to for that prolonged period of time to keep you going on the hard weeks where you're not seeing any visual changes, which will be a lot of the time. So the best thing you can do is commit to one clear goal for the next 12 weeks. Write it in your calendar, start date, end date, and promise yourself you will not move the goalposts until that phase is finished. Despite how you feel, how tired you are, or how you feel in your body. Cut the excuses and start committing to the goal you set out to achieve. Because the women who achieve truly toned physiques aren't doing anything crazy and groundbreaking. They're just patient enough to stick to the process and are consistent with it. In other words, they have made it their lifestyle rather than seeing it as just a dieting phase or as just a phase. So if you fix these 5 mistakes, you will completely change how your body responds to training. And you'll finally begin moving out of that frustrating skinny fat stage and start building a physique that actually reflects the effort you're putting in.